The station had changed. I was closer now. Parliament Tower. Our home in New York. Was I really this close to being home? Going up to our apartment? Would I be home? Or was this just an echo of the real thing? Even then, the murder site had brought me one step closer to escape. The payphone at the edge of the plaza was ringing again.
Hey, Alan. Thank God it picked up. I thought I lost you again.
Who are you? Why are you helping me?
Did you go deeper? To the overlap?
Are you talking about the murder site? Yeah, I did.
That's fantastic, Alan. We're closer to getting out. We're making progress.
Well, we would be if you would answer my damn questions.
Last time we spoke, you were pretty worried about Alice. Did you ever check Parliament Tower? To make sure she really got out of the dark place?
Well, of course she got out. That's why I'm here. That's the whole goddamn point.
Be very careful, Alan. The dark presence is stealing from you. It can already manifest as your double. Scratch will come.
Wait, hello?
Maybe he was a writer. Maybe he was a victim. The cult, using his words. Or maybe he was the monster behind it all. Either way, Alice Wake, his ex, she knew things. It was there in her art for all to see. A cry for help. The darkness she'd witnessed. And that put her in danger.
Was Alice here? In the story? Alice's photo equipment. Set to go off when the door opens.
Get out! Leave me alone!
Alice! Alice! Alice. This is a photo of Scratch. How did Alice get this? Is he stalking her? This is the door to my study, where I wrote my books. This symbol wasn't here before. Alice's video camera. No memory card inside. Part 1. What was Alice working on?
When I was younger, photography was everything to me. I moved to New York thinking I'd make it as an artist. And then I met Alan. We had a good thing. We were both dedicated by our creative ambitions. The only difference was that Alan's work made money. He brought me work when he could. I took his promo shots, created covers for his books. I'm sure he forced his publisher into it. I was taking photos, just not my photos. And that gnawed at me. Things got complicated sometimes, but that's life, right? We loved each other. Then Alan hit a block. I brought out a meaner side of him. One I didn't like. I set up a trip to see a doctor in Washington. I didn't tell him until we got there. We argued. Things went wrong. Penny was just gone. Drowned, allegedly. It's easy for people to think it was my fault. Hell, I do too sometimes. About 6 years ago, I started hearing noises in the night. Typewriter keys clacking. Voices. Alan was back. Haunting me. Then it got violent. It was Alan. And yet, it was a monster. He always did have anger in him. motion sensors and flashes. Now, when the monster comes, I turn it into art. My nightmares caught on film. And this is the focus of my new exhibition. To show people the world is so much darker than they ever knew. I'm calling this exhibit The Dark Place.
Alice. Scratch was terrorizing her. Why?
Yeah, I don't think that's Alice. If that truly is Alice, then Alice never drowned or was taken or anything in reality. But he's seeing a video of a recording of Alice. But if Alice is still alive in reality, then this is just a mirror image of her recording of Alan Wake, which may have truth and untruths. So, if Alice is alive, then that's not Alice. But if that truly is Alice, and Alan Wake did fall into the water, what he's seeing is mirrored from this world of what happened when she made a video recording of him in reality. And for some way, somehow, the dark version of him, Scratch, got into reality without his knowledge, puppeting his body while he was still in this mirror world or other reality. But yet he's still here in this reality. So was it like a tempting, his attempt to escape into reality, but he got pulled back? Seems very strange to me. If Alan believes Alice is in this world, then she also fell into this water, was thrown in or crossed over, which means real her is actually here, trying to also escape, which means this video recording is simply a fabrication of what she was actually thinking. Or maybe she did do this before she fell into a dark place. It's very strange. The story of Alice is very strange, because from Alan's point of view, she was taken into the water, fell into the water after she was kidnapped and stuff. But from her point of view, Alan's the one that fell into the water and supposedly drowned, committed suicide. So it's very hard to distinguish what is real and what isn't real once you're in this world. Because from whose point of view is this? I can't say it really is from Alan, because he knows he's not in reality. So everything he's seeing is just a representation of what he believes is going on. But the story writes what the story writes. So this might all be fiction rather than reality, giving him some sense of false hope, trying to break his will. But who knows? I do believe this dude Scratch was trying to cross into reality, but he probably couldn't do it. And if that was the case, and that really happened,
I sat in the writer's room and wrote a story.
and that means Alice is alive somewhere.
To project myself through the dark place. To look for a way out. The story had brought me here, brought me nowhere. Looped me back. I was writing the story. And in the story, I now stepped into the writer's room. But there was no one here writing.
And that's another thing too. As soon as he finished watching that video of her, all of a sudden he was allowed to see the video of him crossing over into the room from this world back into the room where he does his writing. So the room is actually a separate place in this dark world. They're not together. They're like an area, like a tunnel leading to a specific area.
Okay, let's recap what you've told us so far, Alan.
So everything about Alice
For the
might
past
be
13
untrue.
years, you've been trapped in a nightmare dimension called the Dark Place. It's like New York, but it's not New York. And can be reached from the bottom of Cauldron Lake, but it's not really under the lake. And after all this time, you've managed to get out.
Yeah.
But so has your evil doppelganger. Mr. Scratch? Or is it the Dark Presence?
Both. It's interchangeable. He's Scratch when he looks like me, but he can change into this other form.
And Scratch, the Dark Presence, wants to rewrite the world in his own image.
Which would be in your image, as he looks just like you.
And turn the world into a fucking nightmare.
During Deerfest, which is scheduled to take place in a couple of days. You got out of the Dark Place by writing a novel, the pages we've been finding. But your double edited it into a horror story that's now changing reality, taking over people, making them crazy, bringing the Dark Place to Bright Falls.
Yes, fiction coming in contact with the Dark Place can change reality. The story is coming true, soaking into everything, like darkness when night falls. But last time
This will be back in 2010.
Yes, last time it didn't happen all at once. The story came true bit by bit as it unfolded. And that dark presence was still bound to the lake. I stopped it before it got the ending it wanted. Before it broke free. Based on that.
Okay, so for good context, and I believe it's important, fiction applied to the Dark Place eventually that rewrites certain thing in turns, once it's introduced to that darkness, influence reality, because the reality and Dark Place are mirror images. So if you create fiction in said Dark Place, because Dark Place has power, that power is then reflected into reality. That's not how mirrors work though. Mirrors just reflect what is on the real side into what is the mirror side, not the other way around. So the Dark Place is basically power, a specific type of power. It's not really a mirror. It's just pretending. The Dark Place is just pretending to be a mirror, but it's not. It's pretending to reflect reality by hiding or camouflaging itself as things that look real, like duplicating a mountain to make it look just like a mountain, but it's just camouflaging itself. It's just darkness, and towns and buildings and cats and dogs and people are simply just simulations, camouflage, and the fiction which is then introduced into said darkness, influence, said camouflage. And camouflage is basically it's pretending that it's a mirror, but it's actually a physical form as well, just like people on the other side. That's the only way it can actually influence reality and people. Because if it was just a mirror, it wouldn't be able to do jack squat. If it's just reflection, it wouldn't be able to affect how people move and stuff because it's just a mirror. Its influence has to be its own form itself in order to do something. It cannot just be a reflection. Otherwise, it depends on reality to puppet its own self in order to move. So it doesn't need reality to puppet its own self to move. It's just camouflaging, attaching itself to real people like a silhouette. Like it's trying to be puppeted by reality, but it doesn't really need the reality to puppet it. It's just basically moving as, how would I put it, ligaments. It just has like little extension cords or little spikes attached into different parts of reality. Arms, legs, head, eyes, bones, whatever a mirror shows. And when a person moves in reality, it moves with it. But in all truth, it's fully aware that it could move by itself. It's just that I feel that it would give itself away if it decides to move to the left while the person in the mirror is moving to the right, and it will kind of reveal itself in that situation. So it has to play the game. At least that's the way this darkness seems to me. That's the only logical reason for why fiction can influence in the darkness to change someone in reality, because it's not really a reflection at all of reality. It's just pretending to be, disguising everything in like a simulation while looking at reality. Kind of like, how would I describe it? It's kind of like your shadow. Your shadow can only move a certain way because it's yours. But if, let's say, some entity comes along and decides to pretend to be your shadow, you won't be able to tell the difference between your shadow and the entity because it's moving, dancing, swinging its hands and heads just the same way you are, but it's fully aware that it's pretending, just mimicking you just to do so. Otherwise, if it goes the other way, it gives itself away, and then, kill it with fire.
There's still time.
Which brings us to your magical light switch.
The clicker. Magical doesn't quite cover it. Scratch wants it to bring about his
You're like,
end.
evil be
That
damned,
can't
or
happen.
something like that.
If I can get the clicker, I can send him back to the dark place, make all this shit go away.
People be reciting Klata, Varata, Niktu.
Look, I know it's batshit crazy.
The power of
The
Christ
memory
compel
is-
you.
is full of holes in it. I'm not
If
sure
it
how
goes
much I
left
can
and you
trust.
go right.
It's like a half-forgotten dream.
It doesn't want to give itself away. That thing isn't Scratch. The thing is just, Scratch just lives inside of it. It's like a
Mr.
parasite.
Wake. Alan. We've seen our share of batshit crazy in the past 24 hours. What I want to know is, why am I? Why are we written into the story?
I think I saw you. Or a vision of you in the dark place. I think you helped me reach out and escape somehow. With that in the story, Scratch would have edited it to get to you. To hurt you. We are all in danger.
It's insane. And there's so much of it.
So that's what happened. So Saga basically was investigating in reality what happened to the deaths, because Scratch is trying to get into reality, influence reality, using the darkness, the thing that seems to be just naturally created or man-made product, depending on who or what made it. Scratch is just like this king inside this place, but it's like he didn't make the darkness or stuff. He just lives in there. And it makes sense now that I think about it, because just because she started to investigate anything too close to home with regards to this darkness and move shit around in reality, she comes in contact with Alan Wake at the exact point in time while she was doing investigations, for which he just happened to have been there in his investigation of how to get out. So she was just in the right place at the right time, or he was in the right place at the right time. And Scratch doesn't like that, so he might try to attack Saga for butting her nose into his business. I don't think he cares about Saga or Casey. I just think because they decide to come to Bright Falls and stick their nose into his business, they're now being influenced by, he now knows of them, basically. And he wouldn't have if they didn't come here and investigate his plans. So it would have happened anyway.
Have you ever heard of the Cult of the Tree?
Creepy bunch. In the habit of wearing deer masks, performing murder rituals, victims turning into monsters possessed by darkness, possibly inspired by a horror story written by a certain author. Ring any bells?
The cult. Yes. Yes. They have the clicker.
If the cult has the clicker, does that make them Scratch's followers? How are you so certain they even have the clicker?
They could be working for Scratch. I don't remember. It's all confused.
Alan, if I'm gonna act on this information, you need to be honest with me.
Yeah, of course.
Is he confused? Or is he hiding something?
Alright, so the cult and the clicker. From what I get, the clicker is like an object of power. Something that Scratch wants, Scratch needs. Turning on the light switch on and off within the dark place in order to traverse from dark place to reality. It's a powerful tool. I knew it was something. I didn't know what the something was. I thought the something was Alan Wake himself. He need Alan to go back and forth, but it turns out to be something called clicker. Kind of stupid name, but it doesn't really matter. It's an object, a thing. So Alan is not the object of power. The clicker is, and the cult has it. Well, why would the cult need something like that for? If the cult is literally trying to stop, from what Saga gathered, she's trying to, they're either trying to either summon something or stop something. how, I don't know, the cult had a ritual, the cult made the fat guy go into the lake, or no, or go back into the threshold tree, then come back out of the lake. They did it once. Then he put a piece of paper inside of him in order to get words of writing from Alan Wake's fiction. In order to, because what Alan Wake writes come to pass or in truth. So once they get this writing from Alan Wake, they now know what to do after they remove it from his chest, or they put the actual writing inside of the chest, send him into the threshold, and then he acts on it. It's very confusing. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to do. It seems like they're trying to either prevent something, or they're trying to help Scratch bring about the end of the world or something like that.
Wake said the cult has the clicker. How does he know?
The writer is the reader. The next chapter, the next chapter, the next chapter. Keep the pages safe, the dark shining of the words.
Wake is hiding pages. That's how he knows the cult has the clicker. Wake has a double. Mr. Scratch. Where is he now?
A cloud of wrath wears my face. The dark place in your place. Scratching out my body of work.
Scratch is here. In Washington. He's hunting Wake.
Okay, so there's something strange going on with Saga. Like, how would she know this? This is not normal for her to know. How would she know that he's actually outside hunting Wake? Wake is got out because of what he did and what his being at the right time at the right place with Saga. If Scratch is actually out too, how does she actually know that he's out? Like, if Wake believes they're all in danger and Scratch could enter reality, how does she know he's out already? And he's hunting him. Using his face. Doppelganger. So there are two Alan Wakes in this world. But how would she know that there are two of them now in this world from just assuming Wake is hiding something? Obviously he's hiding pages because he said they have the clicker. So through the pages he knows, based on what he's writing, because his writing influences reality, that whatever the darkness does would eventually affect those who are into dark shit like the cult, to alter them. So they will probably have the clicker, or they would found the clicker. But how would she know that Scratch is out? That has nothing to do with Alan Wake's writing. He didn't write that they would find the clicker or that Scratch would come into reality. There seems to be something going on with Saga that doesn't make sense. Either the darkness, the moment they enter this town, her process of observation and perception has dialed up to like 10, because it's not normal for her to be able to figure this out and assume that he's in reality already.
Scratch looks just like Wake. Why?
Don't wake up the dreamer if your life is a dream. I swam to the shore, but the water is rising.
Wake and Scratch are clearly connected. Maybe Scratch got out because Wake did. Or vice versa.
Okay, so that's her explanation to why Scratch is out. Because however Wake was able to finally find a way out, probably with the influence of Saga's investigation, which I cannot see Wake actually getting out just like that without Scratch wanting him to get out. Like he was in there for like 13 years and then all of a sudden he got out. Either Saga did something that caused him to find a way out, or Scratch found a way to get out because Saga did something. And the moment he got out, because he's doppelganging his body, is duplicating him to look like Alan Wake. That chain link of reality, basically, Lake is like a reflection or two-sided coin of reality, a moment, a physical form of Scratch using a physical Alan Wake body is seen in reality. The Alan Wake of that world would be on the other side reflected, but that don't make sense, because if both Scratch and him were actually in the dark place, there were no Wake on the other side to be reflected. So Alan Wake is the exception to the rule. He was lost completely. There was nothing of him at all. And the moment, I guess the logic is the moment any form of him comes into reality, all of him also comes into reality, both the fake version and the real version at the same time. That they are connected. Him and Scratch are connected at the hip. Otherwise, the moment Aleph will fall into the dark place, there would have been a reflected version of him in reality that's not real. Like a fake version of him in reality, while the real version was in the dark place. But that didn't happen in the first Alan Wake or this Alan Wake. He was just completely in the darkness. So all of him was there. There was no reflections whatsoever. So the moment Scratch got out, he automatically pulled Alan Wake out, or vice versa. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Nothing else makes sense.
Okay, Mr. Wake. I know you have more pages of the manuscript on you.
You don't understand how vital these pages are. They're the only way I can know what's coming.
You're not the only one trying to solve this. This is our job.
Okay. Here. Now, this is all I have. Be careful with them. Inside the trailer, at the outskirts of Watery, Saga had seen Wake's fabled clicker for the first time, in the hands of the Cult of the Tree. A cultist stared at her. She drew her weapon.
Wake just gave us a lot of information. But this clicker seems like a good place to start. If we find that, then we find the cult.
The Cult of the Tree has the clicker Wake told me about. They're a part of all this. Nightingale goes missing for 13 years, shows up murdered, and then turns into a monster. After I stop Nightingale, a rider who's also been missing for 13 years turns up. What's the connection? What kind of case is this?
Yeah, that's the issue right there. The issue is that Saga probably wasn't supposed to interrupt whatever Nightingale was doing. And because of her interruption, probably is the main reason why Alan Wake was able to get out. She stopped something, or the something was supposed to continue after the Bookers interrupted it. And it would have continued even after the Bookers interrupted it. It would continue to do so. Unfortunately, the FBI show up to the party, and because they show up to the party, it can no longer happen. So the moment FBI got involved, probably is the reason why Alan Wake actually came out. Probably wasn't Scratch at all. It's due to the interfering nature of the FBI, which is not interfering at all. The sheriff called FBI because the case was getting very weird, and they got involved. So, being FBI being the FBI, the Cult of the Tree, basically, the Cult of the Tree were slowpokes. They took too long. And or Saga was just figured out things just too fast. She's just too good. Otherwise, Wake would probably still be in that world. She wasn't good at her job. So her messing with Nightingale probably is the reason why Wake got out.
Doesn't make sense. The pages we've been finding are from a horror story called Return, written by Alan Wake. And the contents of this book are coming true. Why couldn't it have been a romance? Nah.
The one thing I would say that's here's another thing that's bad about the game. Since I've been playing it, the game has gotten good with regards to you being able to now increase your ammo capacity, increase your health, and fun little things that you could find about the place. So I gave it like 2 points for that. One for finding things, and one for um, uh, health and health consumption based on resources you found, or at least ammo. Um, the different perks that comes with Alan Wake finding certain things with words of power. So I give it a game 2 points for that because it's its own little unique way of being able to level up and using its perk system. So I give it 2 points for that. And then I gave it another point for the story, which is the acting in this game is very good and it's very interesting. And the story is getting better as it's going along, and you really want to find out what's going on. So I gave it like, even though I gave the story like a full 1 point, a whole point, I'm giving like 2 incremental points towards the story because it's as it's going along, it's just the story is just getting better as it's going along. It's not just the entire story of the game is good, which it already is, but it's gradually as it's going towards the end, it's getting better. So maybe I should just give it 1 point. So I'll just give it 1 point for that it's gradually getting better. And as it leads towards the end, I'll probably give it another point for it. So 1 full point for the story, but also like 1 additional point added towards the story for it actually getting better than when it's actually originally started, because it's quite complicated if you're not paying attention, and the acting and how it's being presented is quite good. So actually no, I think I'll give it 2 points because it's not a simple story to create and how to fashion who's real, what's not real, how to how this all works in reality, what is reflection, what is reality, how to tell a story and not stumble and fall on your face and have it be kind of believable if you're talking at Twin Peaks level. So the story in here is quite good and quite complicated if you really think about it. Um, it's not as complicated as you think if you're not thinking at all, because you're not thinking, you just want it to be explained in a straight pattern. But there's nothing straight about this world. Things loop on top of each other in a spiral. So it's you have to be able to separate them from each other. So in that capacity, it's quite good. So yeah, where I was at 6.2, then I got it up to 6.4 with regards to how perk system works, and now I'll give it like up 2 more points with regards to added towards the story because the story is actually getting very good. So 6.5, 6.6, that's where I am right now. Um, and then I believe I gave it yet another point for finally being able to acquire other things added to the game. I guess from Alan Wake's point of view, or other things added to the story in the fictional world, or in this world. Because originally you just had your profile bench, and then you have your television, and then you have your manuscripts here, and then you have this personal space here, and then you have this over here where you had your weapons and stuff. But now there's a calendar of certain things here. Mare Setter. I'm not exactly sure what that is yet. But now there's that. There's also the radio where you could listen to music, and I believe other things are going to be popping up in her mind place. So you have to give it points for those additional things that the game present to you. So that that would bring the game up to about 6.7 right now, 6.7, 6.8. But because I've now realized that there's one thing bad about the game that I didn't see before, is that this wall right here. So even though I took it all the way up to about 6.8, the fact that when you're doing profiling, or when you're categorizing things and putting them on the wall and then pinning them on the wall, you zoom out and you look down and you look to the left, there could be an entire category to your right or to your left that you miss, or one all the way above you, because the wall, you have to zoom all the way out, and then you have to find the one you want and zoom all the way in. But it doesn't zoom all the way in on what your cursor is pointing towards. Well, actually it does. So you have to point towards the cursor, but then you got to zoom all the way out and zoom all the way in. It does get kind of annoying, and I believe that it would have been best if they had just organized things, because see, even then, this is cut off here. If they had just simply put things from top, middle, bottom, going all the way down from top to bottom in a row, and then go back, I mean, in a column, and then go from left to right in a row, rather than just put them one after another in one single row. It's very annoying because it forces you to scroll all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and zoom all the way out and zoom all the way in. Whereas you only have to zoom out and zoom in if you need to, if they were all placed within the window of what you're seeing. Like if you can't see the text, well, all the objects should be set within this window so the text can be seen properly. And you only have to zoom out a little and not too much. And you don't have, there should be no extreme scrolling to the left and right when you're zooming out and zooming in. So that's a choice that they decide to make. I believe it's not that good. So even though I was at a 6.8 with regards to the game, I have to take a point away from that. I already took a point away from the game for it before, but after looking at it, I would say, actually no, I took a point from it before. I just completely forgot that I took a point from it before for it being asinine like that, and not being organized properly. So I already took a point from the game already. So I'm about to end it right now, upload this one, and I'll continue this again tomorrow when I have the time tomorrow. But it won't be for the time period that I had played today, because tomorrow I'm going to be playing Warframe. So I might just do 2 hours of this tomorrow on live. But yeah, it is getting good. It is, but it's slowly getting good in the mechanics. But it's actually getting far better in the story itself. That's why I gave it 2 additional points for the increase from the time I started the story to the time where the story is right now. I gave it 2 additional points. So the story is getting better, and the story and the characters. Actually, I should give it 1 more point for character acting, because originally we had the base acting and the characters at the beginning of the story, and they were just acting standard and normal. But then they started to act in certain like extreme ways. Like Alan started to go crazy and stuff, and Alan wasn't part of the equation when I first started before. So his acting, and with Dor and all that, and Dor, the actor who played Dor, is extremely good. So he did a great job playing a talk show host, so the acting is very good. So I would say where I am right now is not a 6.8, it's a 6.9. So that's where I'm going to leave it right now, a 6.9. You could round that up to about a 7, but I'm just going to keep it at 6.9. The acting is getting very good, or getting better, or at least the story is better, and people acting with regards to the story are acting it out far better, and the story is better. So that's it. 6.9 for right now. It's actually getting very good. The game is getting very good. The fight mechanics is still kind of weak, but the game is getting very good. Especially the story. It's quite complicated. Not super complicated, but for what it is, it is.